It was my first big mountaineering trip. 2 days in the wild, and I was completely unprepared. I had packed everything I thought I needed, but there was one crucial item that almost brought my journey to a halt: my food. What I didn't know then was that the meal I was about to eat would leave a mark on me that I'm still trying to shake. Today, I'm facing that meal again, this time on my terms. But before we get to the meal that almost ended my mountaineering career, I'm testing out 2 others that might just save your next hike or ruin it. Are these dehydrated meals worth packing, or should you leave them on the shelf? By the end of this video, you'll know the answer. First up, Backpacker's Pantry Pad Thai. And for this one, we are on Rattlesnake Ridge. I first had this meal on a Mount Baker expedition, 2 nights, 2 days, and a whole lot of climbing. That trip, I popped an Imodium just in case, but today, I'm going in without backup. Allergen alert, this meal contains peanuts, so if you have a peanut allergy, we gotta go with another one. I'm mixing the pad thai so the hot water reaches the bottom of the pack and all of the contents cook evenly. We have to wait about 3 minutes before it's ready to eat.
One eternity later.
So a little update on that. I went to Rattlesnake, beautiful day, beautiful hike, and I had filled the water, that Nalgene bottle, with hot water from a canteen in my car, and I get up to Rattlesnake, up to the top, and go to pour it in, and lo and behold, the water is not hot enough. It wasn't hot enough to make it not a super crunchy. So I'm heading to the beach for golden hour to enjoy this meal on the beach instead of on the hike. So I got another one. We're going to give it another shot. I prepared it at home, and I could have eaten it at home too, but these meals are meant to be enjoyed in nature. That's what they are literally engineered for. So we're going to have that experience and hopefully have some beautiful views along with it. It was cloudy today, and now the sun came out just for us. So I'm here at the beach. Let's find the perfect spot to enjoy this meal. As I mentioned, I prepared the pad thai at home, but I didn't add the peanut butter and peanuts because I wanted the noodles to cook first. So I walked while they cooked. I'll be adding them here at the beach. Now, for the moment of truth. Okay, I love it. It is so good. It's very flavorful. I would say that if I were to actually bring this backpacking, I would probably eat it one more time just to make sure I can handle it, because it's a bit spicy, has a ton of flavor. It's got a lot going for it. It's delicious though. It's delicious. Besides the noodles being shorter, it feels like a pad thai that I would order in the restaurant. I really credit adding the peanut butter too. Like adding the peanut butter, adding the peanuts, because it really livens it up. And especially the peanuts, they're not getting soggy because they're of course sitting in the water when you have to prepare it. So it's fun. I like the setup. I love the taste. It's a good one. I'm no longer sad that it didn't work out at Rattlesnake, because then I got to go enjoy a meal on the beach. This is great. Why don't I do this more often? I'm going to do this more often. All right, 1 down, 2 to go. Let's keep it moving. For this one, we're over near my stomping grounds in Carkeek Park. It's such a beautiful spot. Next on the menu, Peak Refuel Chicken Alfredo Pasta. I've actually heard good things about this brand, so let's see if it lives up to the hype. Let's find a good place to prepare and enjoy this meal. Seems like a good place to have a meal. Let's do it. I'm prepping the chicken Alfredo. So here I'm pouring the water in so that I can mix it around and let it sit. This one had to sit for a little longer. I believe it was about 10 minutes. And the water here was very hot, so it would actually cook the noodles, unlike the pad thai experience. So for this one, we wait 10 minutes and then we give it a go. I've actually never had this before, and one thing I noticed when I was picking these up at REI is there are so many different backpacking meal companies these days. When I first did my backpacking mountaineering trip in 2017, like the very first one I've ever done, I feel like there was only like 3 brands to choose from, but I also could have been so green that I just was like, anxiety grabbing the first one that I see. So I could be wrong, but I do feel like there have been just like a huge influx in these companies, and I'm impressed, which also means that they are probably more delicious these days too, because you got to stay competitive. You have so many people on the market, or so many different products on the market. So I'm really excited to try this one. Okay, moment of truth. It actually smells like really good. And I am a pasta girl. I will always choose pasta over everything else, and all 3 of these meals have been pasta based. Okay. It's honestly like very tasty. It has chunks of chicken in here that are surprisingly really tasty and moist, which I'm shocked that they could do that because it was all dehydrated. But I'm telling you, these backpacking meal scientists, they really know what they're doing. This is a good brand. Oh, I guess I tore that off. Peak Refuel. It's good. Very good. It also makes me crack up when it says something like this is like 2 servings. It's like having your Kraft mac and cheese box that says it's like 2 or 3 servings, and it's really just offensive that they say that because it's 1 serving. I mean, there's not like a whole ton. Also, I put too much water in there, so it's a little watery, but it's still very good. It's really not detracting at all from it. The sauce would even be better if I didn't add so much water, but the sauce is a little zesty. There is lots of flavor. It would for sure, it's intended, I think, to be creamy. And I just too much water, but it still has like a creamy effect. The noodles, I love that the noodles are spiral. It's good stuff. Would 100% buy this again for a backpacking trip or a mountaineering trip. Absolutely. Before we declare a winner, we have one more meal to try. And this meal comes with a bit of history. And now for the meal I've been dreading, Mountain House mac and cheese. And for this one, we are out at Discovery Park. So this meal and I have some history. Some very bad history. It was my very first mountaineering meal from my very first big climb on Mount Adams in 2018. I was so inexperienced. I probably shouldn't have been allowed outside, let alone on a mountain with the experience level that I had. I had never had a dehydrated meal before, and this trip was 2 overnight, 2 full days. I had this exact meal at the halfway point where we set up camp the second night at lunch counter. And today, to prepare, I took an Imodium. I have not had this meal since 2018, and I was so afraid. I got so sick the night that I ate this first on the mountain. Now, I am not saying it was solely the fault of this meal. I had never slept on the snow at elevation before. I was not physically prepared for the hike, etc. But I am saying the stomach memory of even the smell of this makes me nervous. Let's find a good place to prepare and enjoy this meal. And now for the meal I've been dreading. Mountain House creamy macaroni and cheese. Let's get started. Creamy, maybe a little watery. Definitely better than I remember. It's actually pretty good. So it was definitely fine. Like, it actually tastes pretty good. I would say that this is just a day hike. I'm not backpacking right now. So I brought boiled water from my home that I just boiled before I left. And I poured that in there. So it wasn't probably to boiling point anymore from the cool down from walking up here. So I would say that boiling right before you eat it is probably the best. So bring out your boiler system and make sure it's hot, hot, hot. Because right now it's like a little bit crunchier than al dente. And I would like it a little softer. But honestly, it's fine. I would eat this again on a backpacking trip. And I might even test it without the Imodium. I did take an Imodium before coming out here because I was so scared. The last time that I had this, it was very rough on my system and I was sick for like 12 hours, stuck on a mountain. It was the most beautiful bathroom experience of my life, but it was still very, very rough. I would say I might risk it because it tastes different than it did, but who knows? I mean, I even couldn't do it on a day trip, but after trying it for this time, I think I feel a little bit better trying it again later. We have Backpacker's Pantry, Pad Thai. This one I really enjoyed. It might be kind of silly, but I really enjoyed the peanut butter pack that came with it and then the extra peanuts. I felt like that was a very fun way to still like dress up your meal in the backcountry or wherever you might be, even on a day hike. It just adds like a fun extra touch. And it honestly was quite good. 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think maybe 0.25 of the portion of that stars is because you could dress it up with the peanut butter and with the peanuts, but I also just really love Pad Thai and they did it really well. Next up was Peak Refuel. I actually really liked this one. Your chicken Alfredo pasta, can't go wrong. The chicken bits actually really livened up with the water, and I added too much water to it, but with less water and the amount that it says to put in there, which is 3/4 of a cup or 6 ounces, I think I put more like maybe 8, 9 ounces of water in there. I would say it would be a lot creamier and even more delicious, but even with the amount of water that I put in, and it was a little watery, it was still very tasty, well seasoned. The pasta, I had hot enough water, so the pasta was very nice. Not just a little overcooked from al dente, I would say. And I really enjoyed this. I would absolutely take this on a backpacking trip or mountaineering journey. I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. So what is the final verdict? We have our mountain house. Creamy macaroni and cheese. I first had this on my very first mountaineering experience journey in 2017. It wrecked me for about 12 hours. But the recipe has indeed improved since then. It actually tastes better too. It definitely tastes better too. I would give this, I would say, a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Would I take it on a backpacking trip or mountaineering trip again? Yeah, for sure. So that means out of Backpacker's Pantry, Peak Refuel, and your Mountain House macaroni and cheese, which I was so gosh darn nervous about, like so nervous about, but it ended up being just fine. Our winner, Backpacker's Pantry, Pad Thai, but it is not that far ahead of Peak Refuel. Honestly, I would eat all of them again, and even with this one, well, actually no, I would still pack the Imodium. Thank you for coming on this taste test journey with me. If you like what you saw, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, let me know what your favorite trail meal is. Stay adventurous and always pack an Imodium just in case.